Okay, so let's take this prepared canvas with all the different colors on it, and we're going to do something a little different. We're going to mix up several colors of paint, and we're going to see what we come up with, and we're going to see if we could create something. And start giving it a little something. I'm not worried about trying to perfect this yet. We're just giving it a little story, some branches, some leaves, some almost like a pine tree, not a pine tree, a coconut tree. Giving it a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of life. Just getting it some raw coverage here. And then let's start bringing in a little more darkness and start playing with it. Start playing with it. Because now we've got to design the tree. And so we have several colors in there. Now we want to start putting it together. And give it some character, some life. And we're never finished. We're never, ever finished. We're just lacing in some paint, some colors, giving it a little life, putting in the trunk. And all under this purple maze of colors. And we're going to do a lot more touching, but that's just where we start. And then we need some sponges. We need some sponges here. We need to do some sponge work. We're going to set this aside for a second. And we're going to need because we're staying with the purple, we're staying with this purple theme in the background. So we're going to mix some purple, and then we're going to mix some white. Going to add some white. We're going to see how these colors start coming together, and we don't care about the effects yet, because we're going to layer in the effects. We're going to trim it out. So we don't care if it disrupts the design, because we're just giving it some character first. We're giving it some breathing room. We're giving it something. And then we're going to bring in some blacks. I'm going to trim it out. So we're using this purple canvas with multiple colors in the background, the purples, but we've got to bring this all together. And we start trimming it out. Start letting the shades shine through and come through. And you don't care if the brushwork, it's not about getting everything perfect. It's about trimming it out. It's about giving it some character, giving it some life, letting the tree breathe a little bit, letting the shading create the shading for you, the automatic shading. And there's many ways to do trees. This is just one technique. There's 100 different ways to do trees, but we're just using this technique for now. And we're letting the grays and the blacks flow through. We're just playing with the paint. Wherever it goes. We need a thinner brush. You're just letting the paint flow through. We need a thinner brush now. We need a thinner brush. Because we're going to continue the lines. We're going to continue to bring some lines in. You're letting all those purple, white lines come in. And there's no, there's no pattern or no, well, I've got a perfect design in front of me and I'm going to follow that design to the T. That isn't the way. This is like free form painting. I'm not trying to follow any particular line. Just trying to make a statement, is bringing out the colors, the blends, and everything, and letting the tree talk to you, letting the tree form. And letting it take shape. And you'd say, well, you need to take a pencil and draw that all out first. No, you have to be able to feel the design. You have to be able to feel it as you're painting. You have to be able to see cutting through the branches, and cutting through the leaves and the colors, and letting it all set out. And not worrying about, getting it just right, because that's not what you're trying to do. It's not something that you're trying to make perfect. The lines don't have to be perfect. The shaping, because trees, move with the breeze, and their branches and leaves are very different. And you just let everything kind of flow with the paint. You let it just flow. You let the grays mix in with the blacks. There's no perfect lines that have to be made. You're just trying to feel what it might look like, what it might feel like, how all this comes together. What is it that we're bringing together? How do the leaves flow through the branches? Letting everything just take its shape, just float out there. And taking advantage of all the colors. Taking advantage of all the colors and the design and the mix. Just letting things flow. And so you start taking advantage of the full canvas. You start playing with all the different layers and different dimensions of colors. And you start bringing things to life. Like I said, there's so many ways to paint trees. This is just one technique. Just want to see where you can let the trees kind of breathe. You're just letting the trees breathe. Let them hang, let them drift, and we could take the leaves and we could plop more layers of leaves and branches and colors. You can play with the colors because now you can bring in some whites. And we're going to flip the, just because it's easier for me to reach, that's all. When you get used to playing or working with brushes, working with brushes, it doesn't matter really what type of brush you're using. Not real thick, but a reasonably thin one. You get the feel of the brush, and you could make the branches as thick as you want or as delicate as you want. And you know when to add a little bit more thickness when you're trying to get it just right. And especially when you're playing with titanium black and you're using more of a liquid type acrylic, it gives you the flexibility to design the way you want to design, the way you want to create. It gives you that ability to really let the paint flow, let it breathe. And allow you to tell the story of this wonderful tree sitting in this purple white bouquet of flowers. And when you're trying to get this just right, you'll see me stop talking for a minute because it's concentration and it's technique. And so you start seeing the tree start coming together and start forming a design. And yes, there's a lot of craziness all around it, but that's the whole purpose of the tree. We want a bunch of things happening. We want a whole bunch of things happening. And sometimes you let the piece sit for a minute and you say, oh, okay, all right, so what are we trying to do? So we sit there and we take a look and we say, okay, we're probably going to put some more flowers in there. Brush, sponge in a little more flowers. We're probably going to do something down below here. Down below here needs something because we've got a lot of purple surface, a lot of pink, purple, white surface, and we're going to put more flowers in there, but we're going to let this dry a little bit, but we can do some treatment. We need some excitement down below here. And I think we're going to add a little bit of gold to the black. And let's see what we might want to do. What we might want to do with that. Just using sponges. And giving it a little bit of something, and it's going to need more. This needs more treatment. And so just starting to get, different elements, different pieces in place. This is like phase 2. Phase 3 is fine tuning and putting the rest of the flowers in and fixing the ground here because this needs more work. And I am almost thinking of bringing in some knives and do some stuff on the ground here. And that's where we're going to stop right now.